or the selector function to select any sort of DOM element from this document. So if you do not have an idea about the DOM is actually the document object model. Your entire HTML will be considered to be a document, and that document will be it will be turned into specified objects for JavaScript manipulation. So when you want to work with your HTML template and you want to have access to all your elements and attributes from your JavaScript file, then you need to turn all those elements and attributes into an object. You need to map them into an object so that you can use them. Inside your script. So that's where this DOM concept is coming from. So we are selecting. So the DOM is actually sort of like the connecting bridge in between the HTML template and the JavaScript file. So the DOM element behind the scenes is actually documenting all your HTML tags along with their attributes into a map, and then it's sending that map to your JavaScript file. Now from that DOM, we are not actually directly selecting anything from this HTML document, but we are tricking the browser to think that we are doing something like that. But actually what we are doing, we are retrieving the HTML element along with its attribute from the DOM or from the map. That's what JQuery is doing, but it's making our life a lot simpler. So now this wrapper function is actually selecting that div, but we do not want to select that div. What we want to do is we actually want to create a new unordered list. And how do we do that? It's pretty simple. It's very, very simple. All you need to do is just use the UL HTML tag along with the symbols, the less than symbol along with the greater than symbol, and then you're ready to go. So we are actually tricking the browser to think that this HTML page is going to have a new element. But what's going on behind the scenes is that we are creating a new element and we are sending that new element to the map or to the DOM. So the JavaScript file is sending that map, and then the DOM is using that map to actually include that UL element inside somewhere, which we did not specify right now, but we will be. So it will actually the DOM will actually place that new UL or unordered list element inside this handler. So we are now going to do that. Before we do that, we will add a class, and I'll explain why I'm adding that class, because that's required for the styling. And there's another trick that's coming up, but the browser will actually think that this is coming from this HTML template, but necessarily it's actually coming from this JavaScript file. So let's call this featured list, and we are done. But before we go any further, we should actually include a sort of error checking. I mean, it's better to stay safe rather than if you are trying to deploy this on a live server, then you should actually provide these checks, because it's really important. Otherwise there might be some sort of error, and your script might be spewing up all those errors to your visitors, and they might be complaining. So it's better to handle those errors, the possible errors, before anything happens to this application. So now we have already created an UL element, a new element, but now this UL or unordered list element is not included inside this HTML template. We did not include it. All we have done is to create this UL element, add a class to it, add a featured list class to it, and then we are telling the DOM to include this inside the map. but not to include it inside this HTML. But because we did not specify we did not actually tell the DOM that you will have to go to this HTML template and place that unordered list instead of this inside this handler. So we need to do that. But before we do that, we need to retrieve. What we need to do is to take in the polished JSON titles, and include it inside this newly created unordered list, and we are going to do that using a for loop. So I'm going to make this clear as I'm doing this, but let me first finish writing off this loop, and I will explain everything as I go along. JSON titles length and increment this index variable. Now finally we need to append this JSON titles to this UL element, and we can do this simply by using list elements and then JSON titles, then again concatenate the ending list. So this is pretty simple. Sorry, I think I made a mistake. This should be length. Okay, so let me explain this to you. First, we created this unordered list. Then we added the class name